beneath that normal world, there is another world. A world made from fear, hatred, regret, jealousy, grief, and every dark emotion human beings release without even realizing it. In Jujutsu Kaisen, those negative emotions do not simply disappear. They gather, they twist, they take shape, and when enough of that darkness gathers in one place, it becomes a curse. Most people cannot see curses. They may feel uneasy in certain places. They may feel watched in an empty hallway. They may avoid an old school building without knowing why. But they do not know the truth. They do not know that curses are real. They do not know that these creatures are born from human negativity. They do not know that every day, somewhere in the world, invisible monsters are waiting near hospitals, schools, tunnels, bridges, and places filled with fear. And they do not know that there are people trained to fight those monsters. Those people are called Jujutsu sorcerers. They use cursed energy, the same kind of negative energy that creates curses. But they control it and turn it into power. This is the story of Yuji Itadori, a normal high school student with an abnormal body, a kind heart, and a fate that changes forever because of one cursed object. At the beginning of the story, Yuji Itadori is a student at Sujisawa 3rd High School. At first glance, Yuji seems like an ordinary teenager. He is cheerful, friendly, and easygoing. He does not act like someone who wants to stand out. He does not behave like a genius. He does not talk about big dreams. But his body is clearly not normal. Yuji has unbelievable physical ability. He can run with terrifying speed. He can throw objects with incredible strength. He can move in ways that make people wonder if he is even human. Because of this, the school track team wants him badly. The coach sees Yuji as a natural athlete, the kind of student who could help the team win competitions easily. But Yuji does not want to join the track team. Instead, he is part of the occult research club. This club is small, relaxed, and not taken seriously by most students. Its members like to talk about strange stories, haunted places, supernatural rumors, and mysteries. For Yuji, it is perfect because the club does not demand much of his time, and Yuji needs that time for something more important. His grandfather is in the hospital. Yuji visits him regularly. His grandfather, Wasuke Itadori, is old, sick, and near the end of his life. He can be grumpy and blunt, but he clearly matters deeply to Yuji. Yuji does not live a flashy life. He goes to school, spends time with the club, and visits his grandfather. That is his world. Small, simple, and human. One day, Yuji visits his grandfather in the hospital, like usual. His grandfather tries to tell him something about his parents, but Yuji is not interested. Yuji does not want to hear it. He says that his grandfather should stop trying to act cool before dying. There is humor in the conversation, but underneath it, there is also sadness. Yuji knows his grandfather is dying. He just does not want to face it directly. Before passing away, Yuji's grandfather gives him final words that become the emotional core of Yuji's life. He tells Yuji that he is strong, so he should help people. He tells him to save people whenever he can. even if it is only one person, even if it is not everyone. He tells Yuji not to die alone. He tells him to be surrounded by people when his time comes. These words sound simple, but they stay with Yuji. Soon after saying this, his grandfather dies. Yuji is left alone in the hospital room. He does not break down dramatically. He does not scream. He simply sits there with the reality of death in front of him. This is important because, from the very beginning, Jujutsu Kaisen connects Yuji's story to death. Not just death as an event, but death as a question. What does it mean to die properly? What does it mean to help someone? What does it mean to save a person? And can someone choose the kind of death they will have? Yuji does not have much time to process his grandfather's death before another life-changing event begins. At the school, the Occult Research Club has found a strange object. It is wrapped in old talisman paper. It looks like something dangerous. The members think it is an interesting occult item. They do not understand what it really is. The object is a cursed object. More specifically, it is one of the fingers of Ryomen Sukuna. Ryomen Sukuna is known as the King of Curses. Long ago, Sukuna was a terrifying being whose power became legendary. Even after his death, his remains could not be fully destroyed. His 20 fingers remained as powerful cursed objects. Each finger contains a part of Sukuna's cursed power. Because they are so dangerous, Jujutsu sorcerers seal them and keep them hidden. But seals weaken over time, and this particular finger has ended up at Yuji's school. A young Jujutsu sorcerer named Megumi Fushiguro comes looking for it. Megumi is a first-year student at Tokyo Jujutsu High. He is serious, sharp, and calm in a way that immediately contrasts with Yuji's relaxed personality. Megumi tracks the cursed object to the school and meets Yuji. He senses cursed energy around him and realizes Yuji has been in contact with the object. Yuji, not fully understanding the danger, explains that the object is with his club seniors. This is when the danger becomes urgent. The seal on Sukuna's finger is weakening. Curses are attracted to it. To curses, Sukuna's finger is like a powerful source of food. If they consume it, they can become stronger. That night, Yuji's club seniors decide to remove the talisman from the object. They think it is just a creepy curiosity. They do not know they are touching something that can draw monsters into the school. Once the seal is opened, curses begin gathering. The school becomes a hunting ground. Yuji and Megumi rush there. Yuji cannot see curses at first, but once he enters the terrifying situation, he begins to witness the hidden world around him. His club seniors are trapped and attacked. Megumi uses his cursed technique, the 10 Shadows technique, to summon Shikigami. He summons creatures from shadows to fight curses. Yuji sees Megumi fighting something monstrous and realizes that everything Megumi said was real. There are curses, there is cursed energy, and his friends are in danger because of the cursed object. Yuji does not have cursed energy training. He does not know Jujutsu. He is not a sorcerer, but he is physically powerful, brave, and unwilling to abandon people. He jumps into the fight. even without cursed energy. Yuji's raw strength is shocking. He can punch through walls and fight with athletic force that surprises Megumi. But physical strength alone is not enough. Curses can only be properly defeated with cursed energy. The situation grows worse. Megumi is injured. Yuji realizes that if nothing changes, everyone may die. The cursed object is still there, Sukuna's finger. Megumi tells Yuji that eating it would be madness. It is deadly poison. Even if someone survives, it could cause something far worse. But Yuji remembers his grandfather's words. Help people, save people, do not die alone. In that desperate moment, Yuji makes a choice that changes the world around him. He swallows Sukuna's finger. Instead of dying immediately, Yuji becomes the vessel of Ryomen Sukuna. Sukuna awakens inside Yuji's body. The transformation is terrifying. Markings appear on Yuji's face and body. His personality shifts. His presence becomes monstrous. The king of curses has returned through Yuji. Sukuna laughs with cruel delight. He looks at the modern world through Yuji's eyes. He wants destruction. He wants freedom. For a moment, it seems like the worst possible outcome has happened. But then something impossible occurs. Yuji takes control back. He suppresses Sukuna. This should not happen. Normally, someone who eats Sukuna's finger would die, or Sukuna would take over completely. But Yuji survives. And not only does he survive, he is able to contain Sukuna inside himself. Megumi understands that this is unprecedented. Yuji is not just someone who swallowed a cursed object. He is Sukuna's vessel. Then Satoru Gojo arrives. Gojo is Megumi's teacher, and one of the strongest Jujutsu sorcerers in existence. He appears casual, playful, and almost unserious. He wears a blindfold and speaks with confidence that seems strange considering the danger. But Gojo is not careless because he is ignorant. He is calm because he is overwhelmingly powerful. Gojo checks the situation and confirms that Yuji can switch control with Sukuna. He asks Yuji to let Sukuna out for a few seconds. Yuji does it. Sukuna takes control and immediately attacks Gojo. But Gojo handles him with ease, even against Sukuna. Even with Sukuna's terrifying reputation, Gojo moves like someone far beyond normal understanding. He dodges, counters, and shows that he is not afraid. When the time is up, Yuji takes control again. Gojo knocks him unconscious. From this point forward, Yuji's life is no longer normal. He has become the vessel of the most dangerous curse in history. In the world of Jujutsu, that means his execution is already decided. Yuji wakes up in a sealed room. Talismans cover the walls. He is tied up. Gojo explains the situation. Because Yuji has swallowed Sukuna's finger and survived, the Jujutsu higher-ups want him executed. But Gojo offers another option. There are 20 Sukuna fingers in total. Yuji has consumed one. Since he can suppress Sukuna, he can be used to gather the rest. The plan is simple and cruel. Yuji will eat all 20 fingers. Then he will be executed. If Yuji dies after consuming all of Sukuna's fingers, Sukuna will die with him. Yuji is being given a temporary stay of execution. His death has only been delayed. Yuji thinks about his grandfather's final words. He thinks about curses. He thinks about the people who might die if Sukuna's fingers remain out there. In the end, Yuji accepts. He does not accept because he wants to die. He accepts because he wants his death to mean something. He wants to save people. He wants to make sure that when he dies, he can say he helped. Gojo brings Yuji to Tokyo Jujutsu High. This school is not a normal school. It is a training ground for jujutsu sorcerers. The number of students is small because the world of sorcery is dangerous and rare. Yuji meets Principal Masamichi Yaga. Yaga is strict and intimidating. He creates cursed corpses, dolls infused with cursed energy that can move and fight. Yaga questions Yuji's reason for joining. He does not want a shallow answer. He does not want Yuji to simply say he wants to help because someone told him to. In the jujutsu world, weak motivation can get someone killed. It can also get others killed. Yaga tests Yuji by forcing him to fight one of his cursed corpses. Yuji struggles while answering the question of why he is there. At first, he leans on his grandfather's words, but Yaga pushes him. A person cannot survive the horror of jujutsu sorcery if their reason is only borrowed from someone else. Yuji begins to understand that he must own his choice. He chooses this path because he wants to give people proper deaths. He does not want curses to take people away in meaningless, ugly ways. He wants to save people from that fate. Yaga accepts him. Yuji becomes a student at Tokyo Jujutsu High. At this point, the main group begins to form. Megumi Fushiguro is already there. Megumi is serious, distant, and often annoyed by Yuji's behavior. But he is not heartless. He has his own sense of justice. He believes in saving people unequally. This means he does not believe all people deserve saving in the same way. He chooses who he wants to save based on his own values. This creates a quiet philosophical contrast with Yuji, who instinctively wants to save anyone he can. Soon, the third first year arrives. Her name is Nobara Kujisaki. Nobara comes from the countryside and has a strong personality from the moment she appears. She is confident, fashionable, sharp-tongued, and completely unwilling to be treated like a side character. She wanted to move to Tokyo, and becoming a jujutsu sorcerer gave her a path. Her attitude is bold, but she is not shallow. Nobara has her own pride and her own way of living. She refuses to abandon who she is. She wants to be beautiful and strong. She wants to be herself without apology. Gojo sends Yuji and Nobara on a mission together as a test. Megumi is there too, but the focus is on seeing how Yuji and Nobara handle real danger. The mission takes place in an abandoned building where curses are present. Yuji uses a cursed tool because he does not yet know how to properly use cursed energy. Nobara uses her straw doll technique. Her technique involves a hammer, nails, and a straw doll. By striking nails with cursed energy, she can attack curses directly. When she links a target to her straw doll through a piece of the target, she can use resonance to damage the curse through that connection. During the mission, Nobara is faced with a curse holding a child hostage. This shows a darker side of the Jujutsu world. Curses are not just monsters that attack randomly. Some are cunning, some use fear and hostages, some exploit human emotion. Nobara is put in a situation where she has to choose carefully. Yuji breaks through the wall and helps save the child. Together, Yuji and Nobara clear the mission. This establishes the chemistry between the first years. Yuji is direct and brave. Megumi is controlled and strategic. Nobara is fierce and proud. Gojo watches them with amusement. But while the early missions have moments of humor, the story soon becomes much darker. The first major tragedy begins with the cursed womb incident at a juvenile detention center. A cursed womb appears at the facility. A cursed womb is a developing curse that can become extremely dangerous. The situation is considered urgent. Several people are trapped inside, including juvenile inmates. The first years are sent to investigate and rescue survivors, if possible. This already feels wrong. The mission is too dangerous for inexperienced students. A special grade threat may be involved. Special grade is the highest danger classification. Against a special grade curse, even experienced sorcerers can die. Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara enter the detention center. The building has become distorted by cursed energy. The inside no longer behaves like a normal physical space. Hallways shift. The atmosphere feels oppressive. They find a body. The reality of death hits Yuji hard. This is not an abstract mission. A person is dead. Yuji wants to bring the body back because the dead person's family deserves closure. Megumi disagrees. He says they cannot risk themselves for a corpse when survivors may still be in danger. This creates conflict between Yuji and Megumi. Yuji is emotional and compassionate. Megumi is practical and harsh. But Megumi also reveals something important. One of the inmates was responsible for a crime that hurt someone Megumi cares about. This complicates Yuji's idea of saving people. The world is not clean. Victims and criminals are not always separated in easy ways. Then the situation becomes worse. Nobara is separated from the group. A powerful curse appears. The cursed womb has transformed into a special grade cursed spirit, often called a finger bearer, because it possesses one of Sukuna's fingers. Yuji and Megumi are completely outmatched. The curse's power is overwhelming. Yuji cannot properly use cursed energy, yet Megumi's shikigami are not enough. The special grade curse injures them easily. Fear begins to take over. Yuji experiences the gap between his courage and his actual ability. He wants to save people. He wants to fight. But wanting is not the same as being strong enough. Megumi goes to rescue Nobara. Yuji stays behind to hold off the curse. This is a terrifying choice. Yuji knows he cannot win. He knows he may die, but he stays anyway. He gives Megumi time. When Megumi gets Nobara out, Yuji makes another desperate decision. He lets Sukuna take over. The idea is that Sukuna can defeat the special grade curse. Then Yuji can switch back. But this plan depends on Sukuna cooperating. And Sukuna is not an ally. When Sukuna takes control, everything changes. The finger bearer, which seemed impossibly powerful against the students, becomes helpless before him. Sukuna toys with it. He humiliates it. He shows the massive difference between a newly born special grade curse and the king of curses. Sukuna uses his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. A domain expansion is the peak of Jujutsu technique. It creates a space where the user's cursed technique is empowered and often guaranteed to hit. Sukuna's domain is especially terrifying. The finger bearer is cut apart. Sukuna retrieves the finger and eats it. Now Yuji has consumed a second Sukuna finger. But the true horror comes after the battle. Yuji tries to switch back. Sukuna refuses. Sukuna now controls Yuji's body. He knows Yuji cannot force him back easily. To prevent Yuji from taking control and to create a hostage situation, Sukuna rips out Yuji's heart. This means that if Yuji regains control, he will die. Sukuna walks outside and confronts Megumi. The atmosphere becomes tense and tragic. Megumi understands that Yuji may already be lost, but he still fights. Megumi uses his 10 Shadows technique and summons Shikigami against Sukuna. Sukuna is intrigued by Megumi's technique. He notices potential in him, but Megumi is still nowhere near strong enough to defeat him. Sukuna attacks with overwhelming ease. Megumi is beaten down, but he refuses to give up. He prepares to use something dangerous, a hidden move that suggests he is willing to risk his own life. But before he can complete it, Yuji takes control back. Yuji chooses to return even though his heart is gone. He chooses to die rather than allow Sukuna to hurt Megumi or anyone else. Yuji collapses. Megumi catches him. Yuji says he is sorry. Then he dies. This is one of the first major shocks of the season. The main character dies early in the story, and his death is not treated like a simple twist. It affects the people around him. Megumi is shaken. Nobara tries to act tough, but she is clearly affected. Gojo is angry, not at Yuji, but at the system that sent first-year students into a mission that was too dangerous for them. The Jujutsu higher-ups wanted Yuji dead. The mission may have been arranged in a way that would lead to his death. Gojo understands this. He hides his anger behind his usual attitude, but it is clear that he does not trust the conservative leadership of the Jujutsu world. Meanwhile, Yuji is not completely gone. Inside Sukuna's innate domain, Yuji meets Sukuna. This inner space looks like a strange shrine, surrounded by bones and darkness. Sukuna sits above him like a cruel king. Yuji is angry. He attacks Sukuna, but Sukuna is amused. Sukuna offers him a deal. This is a binding vow. In Jujutsu, binding vows are serious agreements that can create powerful effects if properly made. Sukuna says he will heal Yuji's heart and bring him back to life under certain conditions. The first condition is that when Sukuna says the word in chain, Yuji will give him control of the body for 1 minute. The second condition is that Yuji will forget the agreement. Yuji refuses because he does not trust Sukuna. Sukuna adds that during that 1 minute, he will not kill or hurt anyone. Yuji still does not want to accept. They decide to fight. If Yuji wins, Sukuna revives him without conditions. If Sukuna wins, the vow is made. Yuji attacks with confidence, but Sukuna defeats him instantly. The binding vow is formed. Yuji returns to life, but Gojo keeps Yuji's revival secret from the other students and the higher-ups. This gives Yuji time to train. Yuji feels guilt and urgency. He knows he is weak. He knows that at the detention center, his lack of skill nearly cost everyone. Gojo begins teaching him the basics of cursed energy. Cursed energy comes from negative emotions. Almost everyone leaks cursed energy unconsciously, and that leaked energy can help create curses. Jujutsu sorcerers learn to control that energy. Yuji must learn to channel cursed energy into his attacks. At first, Gojo uses a strange method. He makes Yuji watch movies while controlling cursed energy. Yuji must maintain a steady flow of cursed energy while reacting emotionally to different films. The training is designed to help him control cursed energy under changing emotional conditions. Gojo also gives Yuji a cursed corpse doll that attacks him when his cursed energy output drops. This forces Yuji to maintain focus. During this period, Yuji also learns more about Jujutsu society and curses. Gojo explains that curses are born from human negativity. He explains that Jujutsu sorcerers fight them in secret. He also explains the ranking system, from lower grades to special grade. Yuji begins to understand that the world he entered is much larger and more dangerous than he imagined. While Yuji trains, the enemy side becomes clearer. A group of intelligent curses and curse users begins moving in the shadows. Among them are Jogo, Hanami, Mahito, and a mysterious man who appears to be Suguru Gito. Jogo is a volcano-headed special grade curse with immense pride. He believes curses are the true humans because they are born from pure emotion. Mahito is a human-shaped curse with a playful, cruel personality. He is fascinated by souls and the shape of human beings. Hanami is a nature-based curse who speaks in an unusual way and wants to protect the earth from humans. The man who looks like Gito works with them and gives them strategy. Their goal is connected to sealing Gojo and creating a world where curses can thrive. In Season 1, the full truth of this group is not revealed, but their presence creates the larger threat beyond Yuji's school life. Jogo decides to attack Gojo. He believes Gojo's reputation may be exaggerated. He thinks that if he kills Gojo, the balance of the Jujutsu world will shift. But Jogo does not understand the true difference between himself and Satoru Gojo. Gojo is traveling when Jogo ambushes him. At first, Jogo's power seems terrifying. He uses flames, heat, and volcanic attacks. He can create explosive force and burning destruction. Any normal sorcerer would be in grave danger. But Gojo treats the fight like a teaching opportunity. He even brings Yuji to watch. This is how confident he is. Gojo shows Yuji what a battle at the highest level looks like. He explains his own power. Gojo's technique is connected to limitless, which manipulates space. The most basic visible expression of this is infinity. When someone tries to touch Gojo, they never actually reach him. The space between them is divided in a way that slows the approach endlessly. An attack gets closer and closer, but never arrives. To an opponent, it looks like Gojo is untouchable. Jogo cannot land a hit. Then Gojo explains domain expansion. Jogo activates his own domain, Coffin of the Iron Mountain. Inside Jogo's domain, an ordinary sorcerer would be burned instantly. Jogo believes this will give him victory, but Gojo responds with his own domain expansion. Unlimited Void. Inside Unlimited Void, the target is flooded with endless information. They perceive everything and nothing at once. They cannot act because their mind is overwhelmed. Jogo is paralyzed. Gojo easily defeats him, but does not kill him immediately because he wants information. Before Gojo can extract what he needs, Hanami rescues Jogo. This battle establishes Gojo as a nearly unreachable force. It also shows why the enemies cannot simply defeat him directly. They need a plan. The story then shifts toward one of the most emotional arcs of Season 1, the Junpei Yoshino arc. Junpei Yoshino is a high school student who is isolated and bullied. He is thoughtful, quiet, and deeply hurt by the cruelty around him. At school, he is mistreated by classmates. They mock him, hurt him, and treat him as someone who does not matter. He loves movies and often thinks about people through the lens of stories and emotions. But his life is full of resentment. He does not have Yuji's physical strength or Nobara's pride. He is a lonely teenager searching for someone to understand him. One day, Junpei encounters Mahito. Mahito has killed people in a movie theater. The victims are grotesquely transformed. Junpei sees Mahito, and instead of reacting only with fear, becomes fascinated. Mahito speaks to him gently. He does not present himself as a monster at first. He acts like someone who understands Junpei's pain. This is what makes Mahito so dangerous. He does not only kill bodies, he manipulates souls. He studies people. He finds their wounds and presses them. Mahito's cursed technique is idol transfiguration. By touching the soul, Mahito can change the shape of a person's body. In Jujutsu Kaisen, the body follows the shape of the soul. So if Mahito alters the soul, the body twists accordingly. This allows him to transform humans into horrific shapes. Many of the strange creatures Yuji and Hanami encounter are not normal curses. They are transfigured humans. That means they were once ordinary people. Mahito sees humans as material. He experiments on them. He talks about souls as if they are toys. He is childlike, curious, and cruel. Junpei becomes drawn into Mahito's worldview. Mahito teaches him about cursed energy. He encourages Junpei's bitterness. He makes Junpei believe that people who hurt him deserve punishment. At the same time, Yuji becomes involved in the investigation. He is partnered with Kento Nanami. Nanami is a grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer and a former office worker. He is serious, precise, and professional. He does not act like Gojo. He does not joke constantly. He treats jujutsu sorcery like difficult labor. Nanami believes adulthood often means accepting unpleasant responsibilities. He left the jujutsu world once, worked a normal job, and then returned because both worlds were painful in different ways. Nanami becomes an important mentor figure for Yuji. He is strict, but he is not cruel. He does not want Yuji to carry burdens he is not ready for. Yuji and Nanami investigate the transfigured humans. At first, Yuji does not understand what they are. He fights them like curses. But when he learns that they were humans transformed by Mahito, he is horrified. He realizes he has killed people who had already been twisted beyond saving. This is exactly the kind of ugly death Yuji hates. It violates his desire to give people proper deaths. Nanami fights Mahito in the sewer. Their battle reveals more about Mahito's ability. Mahito can reshape his own soul to change his body. He can stretch, deform, and repair himself. Ordinary attacks are not enough because unless the attacker can damage the soul, Mahito can maintain his form. Nanami realizes Mahito is extremely dangerous, especially because Mahito is still growing. Mahito is like a young curse, learning the limits of his own power. Nanami survives, but he understands that Mahito must be stopped. Meanwhile, Yuji meets Junpei. Their meeting is surprisingly warm. Yuji does not treat Junpei like a suspect first. He talks with him. They discuss movies. Yuji's natural kindness reaches Junpei. For the first time in a long while, Junpei seems to have found someone who might genuinely become his friend. Yuji visits Junpei's home and meets his mother, Nagi Yoshino. Nagi is kind, relaxed, and loving. She is one of the few bright parts of Junpei's life. She welcomes Yuji warmly. For a brief moment, the story allows Junpei to seem savable. It feels as though Yuji might pull him away from Mahito's influence. It feels as though Junpei might join Yuji's world and find a new path. But Mahito and the enemy group make a cruel move. A Sukuna finger is planted at Junpei's home. The cursed energy draws a curse to the house. Junpei's mother is killed. This destroys Junpei emotionally. Mahito uses the tragedy to push him deeper into hatred. Junpei believes someone from his school is responsible. He goes to the school and uses cursed energy to attack. He manifests a jellyfish like Shikigami called moon dregs, which can poison and restrain targets. Yuji arrives and confronts him. Yuji does not want to kill Junpei. He wants to understand him. He wants to stop him. The fight is emotional because Yuji can see that Junpei is not evil in a simple way. Junpei is grieving. He is angry. He has been manipulated. Yuji tries to reach him. He tells Junpei to come to Jujutsu High. This is one of the most heartbreaking moments of the season because for a second, it feels possible. Junpei could leave his old life behind. He could become Yuji's classmate. He could learn to use cursed energy properly. He could find friends. He could survive. But Mahito appears. Yuji realizes Mahito is the true enemy. Junpei begins to understand that Mahito used him. But by then, It is too late. Mahito touches Junpei and uses idol transfiguration. Junpei's body twists into a monstrous form. Yuji is horrified. Junpei is in pain and confusion. He asks why. Yuji screams for Sukuna to help. He begs Sukuna to heal Junpei. Sukuna has reverse cursed technique and can heal Yuji's body. Yuji believes Sukuna might be able to save him, but Sukuna refuses. And not only does he refuse, he laughs. Mahito laughs too. This moment is devastating because it shows Yuji the reality of the being inside him. Sukuna is not a hidden ally. He is not a dark power waiting to become good. He is cruel. He enjoys Yuji's suffering. Junpei dies. Yuji breaks. His grief turns into rage. He attacks Mahito with everything he has. This fight is important because Yuji is one of the rare people who can hurt Mahito. Because Yuji contains Sukuna, he has awareness of the soul. His punches can affect Mahito's soul directly. Mahito realizes that Yuji is dangerous to him, but Mahito is still cunning. He tries to manipulate Sukuna by touching Yuji's soul. This is a mistake. Inside Yuji, Sukuna warns Mahito not to touch his soul again. Sukuna is not protecting Yuji out of kindness. He is defending his own pride and existence. Mahito understands the danger. Nanami arrives and joins Yuji. Together, Yuji and Nanami fight Mahito. Nanami brings experience and strategy. Yuji brings raw determination and the ability to damage Mahito's soul. Mahito is pressured harder than before, but in the middle of the fight, Mahito evolves. He discovers his own domain expansion, self-embodiment of perfection. Inside Mahito's domain, anyone trapped within is effectively in the palm of his hand because his technique touches the soul directly. Nanami is caught inside. It seems like death is certain, but Yuji breaks into the domain from outside. Normally, breaking into a domain is extremely difficult and dangerous, but Yuji forces his way in. By entering, he causes Mahito's technique to connect again with Sukuna's soul. Sukuna reacts with terrifying anger. Mahito survives, but he is badly shaken. The fight ends with Mahito escaping. Yuji and Nanami do not defeat him completely. This is important because Jujutsu Kaisen does not always give clean victories. Junpei is dead. His mother is dead. Mahito escapes. Yuji is alive, but he is emotionally wounded. After the incident, Yuji speaks with Nanami. He is forced to face the fact that he killed transfigured humans. He could not save Junpei. He could not force Sukuna to help. Nanami does not give him empty comfort, but he does acknowledge Yuji as a Jujutsu sorcerer. For Yuji, this matters. He has taken another step into the reality of this world. He is not just a student being protected by Gojo. He has seen what curses do to people. He has seen how cruel intelligent curses can be. He has seen that good intentions are not enough. The Junpei arc changes Yuji. At the beginning of the story, Yuji wanted to save people and give them proper deaths. After Junpei, that desire becomes heavier. He now understands that sometimes he will fail. Sometimes people will die in front of him. Sometimes the enemy will laugh, and sometimes the monster inside him will laugh too. While Yuji is dealing with this pain, the rest of the students continue their own growth. Megumi and Nobara still believe Yuji is dead for much of this period. They train for the upcoming Kyoto Goodwill Event. This event brings the Tokyo and Kyoto branches of Jujutsu High together for a competition. But beneath the school event, political tension is building. The Kyoto principal, Yoshinobu Gakugenji, represents the conservative side of the Jujutsu world. He sees Yuji as a threat because Yuji is Sukuna's vessel. He believes Yuji should be executed. Gojo, on the other hand, wants to change the Jujutsu world by raising strong, intelligent students who can challenge the old system. This creates a quiet conflict between generations. The older leadership values control, tradition, and eliminating risks. Gojo values growth, strength, and changing a broken structure. The Goodwill Event becomes the next stage for that conflict. Before it begins, Gojo decides it is time to reveal that Yuji is alive. He wants to surprise everyone dramatically. Yuji is nervous, but excited. He wants to reunite with Megumi and Nobara. He expects them to be emotional. He expects a warm reunion. But when Gojo reveals him, the reaction is not what Yuji imagined. Megumi and Nobara are shocked, but also annoyed. From their perspective, Yuji let them believe he was dead. The reunion is funny on the surface, but underneath, it is meaningful. Yuji has returned to his classmates. The first-year trio is together again. And now, the next major arc is ready to begin. The Kyoto Goodwill Event will introduce new students, new rivalries, deeper cursed techniques, and some of the most important fights of Season 1. But before moving into that event, it is important to understand what part 1 of this story has already built. Yuji began as a normal boy with abnormal strength. He lost his grandfather and inherited a simple but heavy command. Help people. Save who you can. Do not die alone. Then he swallowed Sukuna's finger to save others. That one act made him both a hero and a condemned prisoner. He entered Jujutsu High not because he wanted power, fame, or revenge, but because he wanted his life and death to have meaning. He met Megumi, who believes in choosing who to save. He met Nobara, who refuses to let anyone else define her life. He trained under Gojo, a man so powerful that even special grade curses must plan around him. He died once because Sukuna used his body and tore out his heart. He returned because Sukuna made a secret binding vow that Yuji does not remember. He learned that curses are not just monsters. They are born from the worst parts of humanity. He learned that some curses can think, plan, speak, and manipulate. He met Hanami, who showed him the serious, adult side of Jujutsu sorcery. And through Junpei, Yuji learned one of the cruelest lessons of the season. Not everyone can be saved. Not every tragedy can be stopped in time. And sometimes, the person you reach out to is already trapped in someone else's hands. That is where the first half of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 leaves us. Yuji is stronger than before, but still far from complete. Megumi and Nobara are growing too. Gojo is preparing the next generation. The enemies are moving in secret. Mahito has survived and continues to evolve. Jogo, Hanami, and the false Gito are still planning. Sukuna's fingers remain scattered, and inside Yuji's body, the king of curses is waiting. The story now moves toward the Kyoto Goodwill Event, where what begins as a school competition will soon become a battlefield. The story now moves into the Kyoto Goodwill Event. At first, this event sounds like a normal school competition. 2 branches of Jujutsu High are involved. One is the Tokyo School, where Yuji, Megumi, Nobara, Maki, Panda, Toge, and Gojo are based. The other is the Kyoto School, led by Principal Yoshinobu Gakugenji. The event is supposed to be a friendly competition between students. But in the world of Jujutsu sorcery, even school events are dangerous. The students are not ordinary teenagers playing games. They are young sorcerers trained to fight curses. Every lesson is connected to survival. Every fight reveals technique, weakness, instinct, and resolve. And behind the surface of the competition, there is a darker plan. The Kyoto side has been ordered to kill Yuji Itadori. To the conservative leaders of the Jujutsu world, Yuji is not simply a student. He is Sukuna's vessel. He is a living risk. They believe that as long as Yuji lives, Sukuna has a chance to return. Even if Yuji can control him for now, they do not trust that control. So for them, killing Yuji is the safest answer. Gojo knows the old leaders think this way. This is one of the reasons he kept Yuji's revival secret. Gojo wants Yuji to grow strong enough to survive. He wants a new generation of sorcerers who can change the system. He does not want students crushed by old fear and old politics. Before the event begins, Gojo reveals Yuji is alive in the most Gojo way possible. He turns Yuji's return into a dramatic surprise. Yuji expects a touching reunion. He thinks Megumi and Nobara will be emotional. He imagines they will cry or celebrate. But when Yuji appears, Nobara and Megumi are not pleased in the way he hoped. They are shocked, but also irritated. From their point of view, Yuji allowed them to believe he was dead. They grieved him. They moved forward with that pain. And now he shows up like nothing happened. The moment is funny, but it also shows how close the first years have already become. Yuji's death mattered to them. His return matters too. The Tokyo students are now ready for the event. The Tokyo side includes Yuji Itadori, Megumi Fushiguro, Nobara Kujisaki, Maki Senin, Panda, and Toge Inumaki. Maki, Panda, and Toge are second-year students. Each of them is unusual in a different way. Maki comes from the Zenin clan, one of the major Jujutsu families. But unlike many members of powerful sorcerer families, Maki has very little cursed energy. Because of this, her clan looked down on her. They treated her as a failure. But Maki refused to accept the role they gave her. She trained her body relentlessly. She became skilled with cursed tools. She learned to fight without relying on a powerful inherited technique. Maki's strength is built from discipline, anger, pride, and refusal. She is trying to become strong enough to return to the Zenin clan. and prove them wrong. Panda looks like a panda, but he is not a normal animal. He is a cursed corpse created by Principal Yaga. Unlike ordinary cursed corpses, Panda has his own personality and emotions. He is intelligent, friendly, and powerful. His existence is unusual even in the Jujutsu world. Panda has different cores inside him, and each core gives him different abilities. This becomes important later in his fight. Toge Inumaki is quiet most of the time. He speaks using rice ball ingredients like salmon, bonito flakes, and kelp. This is not because he is strange for no reason. It is because his cursed technique is dangerous. Toad uses cursed speech. When he speaks certain commands infused with cursed energy, the target is forced to obey. If he says stop, the target stops. If he says blast away, the target is thrown back. But this power also damages Toad's throat, and if he speaks carelessly, he could hurt people by accident. So he limits his normal speech to safe words. The Kyoto side has its own powerful and strange students. Ai to do is a third-year student from Kyoto. He is tall, muscular, loud, and incredibly intense. He asks people what kind of women they like, and based on their answer, he judges their entire character. This sounds ridiculous, but to do is not just comic relief. He is one of the strongest students in the event. He is physically powerful, experienced, and intelligent in battle. He has a very sharp understanding of cursed energy. He acts wild, but his instincts are excellent. Mai Zenin is Maki's twin sister. Unlike Maki, Mai stayed with the Zenin clan. Mai has cursed energy, but her technique is limited. Her relationship with Maki is full of pain, resentment, and misunderstanding. Maki left the clan to prove herself. Mai felt abandoned. To Mai, Maki's decision made life harder for her. Their conflict is not just about strength. It is about family, expectation, and the pain of being trapped in a cruel system. Narutoshi Kamo is another Kyoto student from a major sorcerer family. He uses blood manipulation, a technique connected to the Kamo clan. He is serious and formal, carrying the pressure of his family name. Momo Nishimiya is a witch-like sorcerer who rides a broom and uses wind-based attacks. Kasumi Miwa is a sword user who is sincere, polite, and more normal than many of the others. Kikichi Muta fights through a mechanical cursed corpse called Mekamaru. His real body is fragile and hidden far away because of a heavenly restriction. His physical body suffers greatly, but in exchange, he has a wide range of cursed energy and can control puppets from a distance. The event begins with rules that seem simple. The teams must exorcise curses released into the area. The team that exorcises the main target curse wins, but fighting between students is allowed. This means the event becomes both a curse hunt and a battle between sorcerers. However, the Kyoto students have a hidden instruction from their principal. They are supposed to kill Yuji. Some accept this more directly than others. To do, however, is not interested in following boring orders. When To Do confronts Yuji, he asks the famous question, "What kind of women does Yuji like?" Yuji gives an honest answer. He says he likes tall women with a big butt, like Jennifer Lawrence. Tadeu is deeply moved. In Tadeu's mind, this answer proves Yuji has excellent taste. Tadeu immediately decides Yuji is his best friend. He even imagines an entire false memory where he and Yuji were school friends. This is absurd, but it becomes the beginning of one of the most important training moments in the season. Tadeu fights Yuji, but he also teaches him. Tadeu notices something about Yuji's cursed energy. Yuji has a habit called divergent fist. Because Yuji is physically fast and strong, his punch lands first, and his cursed energy hits a moment later. This creates a delayed second impact. At first, this seems useful. It can surprise enemies. But Tadeu explains that against stronger opponents, this delay is a flaw. A skilled opponent will read the gap. Yuji must learn to make his cursed energy flow with his physical movement, not after it. Tadeu teaches Yuji that cursed energy is not something that should be treated like a separate layer added onto the body. A sorcerer must exist with body, mind, and cursed energy as one. The lesson pushes Yuji forward quickly. Yuji is a natural learner in battle. He listens, he adapts, he improves under pressure, while Yuji and Tadeu are fighting and strangely bonding. Other battles unfold across the event. Megumi faces Noritoshi Kamo. This fight is important because both of them come from powerful Jujutsu bloodlines. Though Megumi's situation is different. Megumi has inherited the 10 Shadows technique, one of the treasured techniques of the Zenin clan. Kamo recognizes his potential. Kamo uses blood manipulation with precision. He can control blood outside his body and strengthen his physical ability. Megumi uses his Shikigami and tactics to respond. He summons new, divine dogs and other shadow-based techniques. Their fight shows that Megumi is intelligent and adaptable. He is not just relying on raw power. He thinks through the movement of his opponent and uses the environment. Nobara fights Momo Nishimiya. Momo attacks from the air using her broom. She talks about the hardship faced by female Jujutsu sorcerers. Momo argues that women in the Jujutsu world are judged harshly. They must be strong, but also beautiful. They must meet impossible expectations. She defends Mai and criticizes Maki. Nobara listens, but she does not accept Momo's logic. Nobara's answer is one of the clearest expressions of her character. She does not reject beauty. She does not reject strength. She wants both. She loves herself when she is dressed up, and she loves herself when she is fighting. She refuses to let anyone tell her that being feminine makes her weak, or that being strong means she must abandon her own taste. Nobara is not trying to become someone else's ideal woman. She is living as Nobara Kujisaki. Their fight shows Nobara's creativity. She uses her nails and hammer. She tricks Momo by attacking the broom. Maki then arrives and defeats Momo with overwhelming physical skill. This leads into the conflict between Maki and Mai. Maki and Mai's confrontation is one of the emotional centerpieces of the event. The two sisters grew up in the Zenin clan, where worth is measured by cursed techniques and power. Maki had almost no cursed energy and was treated as useless. Mai had more cursed energy than Maki, but not enough to be valued highly. They were twins in a clan that did not truly care about either of them as people. When they were young, Maki and Mai were close. Mai was afraid of curses and the harsh world around them. Maki protected her, but Maki wanted to leave. She wanted to reject the clan and become strong on her own. Mai did not want that. Mai wanted them to endure together. When Maki left, Mai felt abandoned. From Mai's perspective, Maki forced her to work harder in a world she never wanted to challenge. Mai did not want to become a sorcerer. She wanted a simpler life. But Maki's rebellion made the clan pressure Mai more. So Mai's anger at Maki is not just jealousy. It is pain from being left behind. During their fight, Mai uses a revolver and her cursed technique, construction. Construction allows her to create matter from cursed energy, but the technique is extremely difficult and costly. Mai can create only one bullet a day. She hides this limitation and uses it as a surprise. Maki, however, reads the situation and catches the bullet. This moment shows the difference between them in combat. Maki has trained her body to an extreme level. Even without a powerful cursed technique, she can defeat sorcerers who were born with more advantages. Mai loses, but the emotional wound remains. Maki wants to crush the Zenin clan's expectations. Mai wishes Maki had stayed with her. Their fight does not solve their relationship. It reveals how deeply the Zenin clan damaged them both. At the same time, Panda fights Mekamaru. At first, this looks like a strange battle between a panda and a robot. But the fight becomes more serious as it reveals what both characters really are. Mekamaru is controlled by Kikichi Muta, whose real body is hidden elsewhere because of a heavenly restriction. Kikichi was born with a body that cannot live normally. His skin is fragile. He cannot move freely. He cannot experience ordinary life. In exchange, he has a large range of cursed energy and can control mechanical puppets from far away. Kikichi envies people who can walk in the sun and stand beside their classmates. Panda, on the other hand, is a cursed corpse with emotion and self-awareness. Mekamaru thinks Panda may be similar to him because Panda is not a normal human. But Panda understands himself differently. He is not simply an object. He has a heart. He has bonds. He has his own way of living. During the fight, Panda reveals that he has multiple cores. His normal form is balanced. His gorilla core gives him greater power and a more aggressive fighting style. Panda defeats Mekamaru, but he does not mock him. Instead, he shows understanding. Panda recognizes Kikichi's loneliness. Their fight adds emotional depth to both characters. The Goodwill Event is doing more than showing who is stronger. It is revealing what each student carries. Yuji carries the burden of Sukuna and the deaths he could not prevent. Megumi carries the weight of his ideals and his sister's condition. Nobara carries her fierce self-respect. Maki carries rejection from her clan. Mai carries abandonment. Panda carries the question of what it means to be alive. Mekamaru carries isolation. To do carries overwhelming confidence and strange emotional logic, but also real battle wisdom. Then the event changes completely. What began as a student competition turns into a real attack. A veil is lowered over the area. A veil is a barrier technique that can trap people, hide events, or create specific conditions. This veil is designed to keep Satoru Gojo out. That detail alone tells everyone how serious the attack is. The enemies know that if Gojo enters freely, their plan will fail quickly. So they create a barrier that blocks him while allowing others to move. Curse users invade the school grounds. The special grade curse, Hanami, appears. Hanami is different from Jogo and Mahito. Hanami's presence is calm, strange, and heavy. Hanami is connected to nature and carries a hatred toward humans for harming the earth. Hanami believes humans are a threat to the planet. This does not make Hanami kind. It makes Hanami dangerous in a different way. Hanami is strong, durable, and difficult to damage. The students are suddenly facing a real special grade curse. This is no longer training. This is survival. Toge Inumaki tries to stop Hanami using cursed speech. His commands affect Hanami, but each use damages his throat. The stronger the opponent and the stronger the command, the more backlash Toge suffers. He pushes himself to protect others. Megumi, Maki, and Noritoshi Kamo fight Hanami together. Their teamwork is impressive. Megumi uses shikigami and tactics. Maki uses cursed tools and close combat. Kamo uses blood manipulation. They manage to pressure Hanami, but Hanami's durability is overwhelming. Hanami can take attacks that would destroy weaker curses. Hanami also uses plant-based techniques, including cursed buds that feed on cursed energy. This is especially dangerous for sorcerers because using more cursed energy can make the buds grow and harm them further. Megumi is injured. Maki is injured. The situation becomes desperate. Then Yuji and Tadu arrive. Tadu is excited. He sees Hanami as the perfect opponent to push Yuji forward. But Tadu does not immediately jump in to do everything himself. He tells Yuji to fight. He wants Yuji to grow in the middle of danger. This is where Black Flash becomes central. Black Flash is not a normal technique that someone can activate whenever they want. It is a rare phenomenon. It happens when cursed energy is applied within an incredibly tiny fraction of a second after a physical strike. When this timing is achieved, space distorts and the attack becomes much more powerful. Landing Black Flash requires extreme focus, timing, and connection between body and cursed energy. No sorcerer can use it at will with perfect certainty. But once a sorcerer experiences it, their understanding of cursed energy deepens dramatically. Tadu pushes Yuji toward that state. Yuji attacks Hanami. At first, he is still not perfect, but then he lands Black Flash. The impact is huge. Yuji's cursed energy and physical strike connect in a way they never have before. The world seems to sharpen around him. He begins to understand cursed energy at a deeper level. From there, Yuji and Tadu fight Hanami together. Their teamwork becomes one of the most exciting parts of the season. To-Do reveals his cursed technique, Boogie Woogie. Boogie Woogie allows To-Do to swap the positions of people or objects that have cursed energy by clapping his hands. This technique sounds simple, but To-Do uses it brilliantly. He swaps himself with Yuji. He swaps Yuji with Hanami. He creates confusion and openings. Because the trigger is a clap, enemies begin reacting to the sound. But To-Do can also trick them by clapping without swapping. The strength of Boogie Woogie comes from To-Do's intelligence and timing. Yuji adapts quickly. He trusts To-Do's movement. Together, they overwhelm Hanami in close combat. Yuji lands multiple black flashes. To-Do uses Playful Cloud, a powerful cursed tool, to strike Hanami. Hanami is forced to take the fight seriously. But even with all this, Hanami is still special grade. Hanami begins to enjoy the battle in a way that surprises even Hanami. The curse that claimed to fight for nature begins to feel the thrill of combat. This reveals something about curses. They may have ideals or reasons, but they are still driven by cursed nature. As the fight reaches a dangerous point, the barrier begins to break. Gojo is finally able to enter. Once Gojo arrives, the entire atmosphere changes. Before Gojo enters, everyone is fighting with all their strength just to survive. After Gojo enters, the question becomes how quickly the enemy can escape. Gojo first deals with Juzo Kumiya, a curse user who invaded with the enemy. Juzo is a disturbing person who wants to make a coat rack out of Gojo. He is cruel and bizarre. Gojo defeats him easily and crushes his limbs so he cannot run. Then Gojo turns his attention to Hanami. Hanami tries to escape. Gojo uses his technique with terrifying precision. He activates Hollow Purple. Hollow Purple is one of Gojo's most destructive techniques. It combines the effects of blue and red, creating an imaginary mass that erases or destroys everything in its path. The attack tears through the forest. Hanami is badly damaged, but manages to escape. Even though Hanami survives, the message is clear. Gojo is on a completely different level. The enemy did not invade to defeat Gojo. They invaded to distract everyone and complete another objective. While the students and teachers were focused on the attack, Mahito infiltrated Jujutsu High storage area. He stole Sukuna fingers and cursed womb objects. This is a major victory for the enemy group. They now have dangerous cursed objects that can be used to strengthen their plans. The Goodwill Event attack ends, but it leaves behind consequences. The students have survived a real battle against a special grade curse. Yuji has grown tremendously. He has landed Black Flash. He has improved his cursed energy control. He has fought beside To-Do, who now considers him a brother in spirit. Megumi, Maki, Kamo, Toj, and the others have all faced the reality of what the enemy can do. The adults understand that the threat is larger than a simple school attack. The curses are organized. They have strategy. They have someone guiding them, and they are gathering Sukuna's fingers. After the attack, the schools continue with the second day of the event in a much lighter way. Instead of more dangerous fighting, They play baseball. This gives the story a short moment of relief. The students who were just fighting for their lives now play a strange, funny game together. To-do is hit in the face by a pitch, and almost everyone reacts with indifference because to-do annoys them. The baseball game lets the characters breathe. It also shows that even in this dark world, they are still students. They can laugh, they can compete, they can be ridiculous, but the peace does not last long. The final arc of Season 1 begins after the Goodwill Event. This arc is often known through the events around Yasuhachi Bridge and the death painting wombs. It brings the story back to Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara as a trio. It also focuses heavily on Megumi's past and growth. The case begins with strange deaths. Several people are dying in similar ways. The victims are connected to a bridge. They had gone to Yasuhachi Bridge at night during their school years as part of a test of courage. Now, years later, they are being killed by a curse. Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara are assigned to investigate. At first, it seems like a normal curse investigation. They ask questions. They trace the connection between victims. They learn about the bridge and the old rumors surrounding it. But the case becomes personal for Megumi. His older sister, Tsumiki Fushiguro, is connected to the same bridge incident. Tsumiki is currently in a coma because of a curse. Her condition has been one of the quiet wounds in Megumi's life. Megumi cares deeply about her. She represents kindness and goodness to him. In his memories, Tsumiki tried to guide him toward being a better person. Megumi was a troubled child who got into fights. Tsumiki believed in doing the right thing. Megumi did not always understand her kindness at the time, but after she was cursed, her importance to him became even clearer. Megumi's philosophy of saving people unequally is connected to Tsumiki. He wants to save good people. He wants to save people he believes deserve it. He cannot accept a world where someone like Tsumiki suffers, while cruel people live freely. As the investigation continues, Megumi hides some of the truth from Yuji and Nobara. He does not immediately tell them that Tsumiki may be affected by the curse connected to the bridge. This is very Megumi. He tends to carry burdens alone. He does not easily ask others to share his pain. Yuji and Nobara eventually realize something is wrong. They understand that Megumi is personally involved. The trio goes to Yasuhachi Bridge to confront the curse. The curse is connected to people who passed under the bridge at night. The correct condition matters. It is not simply crossing over the bridge. The curse is tied to passing underneath it. This detail helps them understand how the victims were marked. When they enter the curse's barrier, the space changes. They find themselves in a strange domain-like environment. The curse appears, but something else happens at the same time. Because Mahito stole cursed womb objects from Jujutsu High, the enemy group is able to incarnate the death-painting wombs. The death-painting wombs are cursed objects connected to human and curse blood. 3 of them are especially important: Joso, Eso, and Kechizu. In Season 1, Eso and Kechizu become the main enemies of the final arc. They are brothers. They are not ordinary curses. They are incarnated beings with human bodies and cursed blood. This makes the final fight more emotionally complicated. They are enemies who kill people, but they also have love for each other. Their brotherhood is real. The first major fight in the arc separates Megumi from Yuji and Nobara. Megumi faces a finger bearer. This is another special grade curse that has consumed one of Sukuna's fingers. The situation mirrors the detention center mission. Back then, Megumi was helpless against a finger bearer. Yuji had to rely on Sukuna. Yuji died. Megumi was left with guilt and frustration. Now Megumi is facing a similar kind of enemy again. But this time, he is different. He has grown. Still, the finger bearer is powerful. Megumi is pushed to his limit. During the battle, Megumi remembers Gojo's words. Gojo once criticized Megumi's mindset. Megumi is talented, but he holds himself back. He is too willing to sacrifice himself. He imagines using his life as a final answer. Gojo understands that Megumi has a dangerous habit of thinking that dying to win is acceptable. But Gojo tells him that dying to win and risking death to win are not the same thing. A strong sorcerer must be greedy. A strong sorcerer must imagine victory beyond self-sacrifice. Megumi begins to change in this fight. Instead of preparing to throw his life away, he reaches deeper into his technique. He activates his domain expansion. Chimera Shadow Garden. It is incomplete, but it is still a major breakthrough. The area fills with shadow. Megumi's technique expands. He can create multiple shikigami and move through shadows with greater freedom. The domain is messy and unfinished, but it reflects Megumi's growth. For the first time, Megumi allows himself to fight with a more selfish desire to win. He smiles. This is not a gentle smile. It is wild and intense. Megumi defeats the finger bearer. After the curse is destroyed, it leaves behind Sukuna's finger. Megumi has won, but he is exhausted and injured. Then Sukuna, inside Yuji, notices what happened. Sukuna is interested in Megumi's growth. This interest is ominous. Sukuna does not care about people in a normal way. If Sukuna is interested, it means he sees something useful or entertaining. Meanwhile, Yuji and Nobara face Eso and Kechizu. Eso has a more human appearance than Kechizu, though his body has strange features. Kechizu looks more monstrous and speaks less clearly, but he is still Iso's brother. They use blood-based cursed techniques connected to rot and decay. Their technique can poison and decompose the bodies of their victims. At first, Yuji and Nobara are in serious danger. The brothers' blood gets on them, activating the effect of the technique. This creates a deadly countdown. Yuji and Nobara are both affected by the poison and rot, but Nobara turns the situation around in a way that perfectly fits her character. Instead of panicking, she uses her own body as a connection. Because the enemy's blood is inside her and Yuji through the technique, Nobara can use resonance to strike back through that connection. She drives nails into herself. This is painful and dangerous, but it allows her to damage Eso and Kechizu. Nobara's willingness to hurt herself, to hurt the enemy, shocks them. She is not reckless in a simple way. She understands the logic of her technique and uses it brutally. Yuji fights with incredible physical power and improved cursed energy control. Since his training with To-Do, he is much better at syncing cursed energy with his strikes. He and Nobara work together with strong trust. Their teamwork is not soft or sentimental. They insult each other and argue like friends, but in battle, they understand each other. Yuji pursues Kechizu. Nobara handles Iso's technique. The fight becomes intense and personal. Eso and Kechizu are dangerous killers. They have already taken lives, but they are also brothers who care about each other. Eso is genuinely protective of Kechizu. When Kechizu is hurt, Eso reacts with pain and anger. This makes the fight emotionally different from battles against mindless curses. Yuji and Nobara are not fighting empty monsters. They are fighting beings with bonds. But the brothers are still enemies. They will kill Yuji and Nobara if given the chance. Yuji kills Kechizu. Nobara helps defeat Eso. As Eso tries to flee, Yuji catches up and finishes him. The fight ends with Yuji and Nobara victorious. But the victory is not clean emotionally. Yuji sees Eso crying for his brother. He understands that even enemies can have feelings. Nobara also understands the weight of what happened. They do not regret protecting themselves and others, but they recognize that killing, even when necessary, can leave something behind. This is a very important part of Jujutsu Kaisen. The story does not let Yuji remain innocent. He has killed transfigured humans. He has failed to save Junpei. Now he has killed incarnated cursed beings who had brotherly love. The world keeps forcing him to face complicated deaths. After the battle, Megumi rejoins Yuji and Nobara. They find him injured, but alive. Yuji and Nobara try to hide how badly the poison affected them. But the danger passes because Eso and Kechizu are dead. Megumi hides Sukuna's finger from Yuji at first. He knows Yuji eating more fingers means bringing Sukuna closer to full power. But Sukuna's mouth appears on Yuji's hand and eats the finger before Megumi can stop it. Yuji has now consumed another Sukuna finger. This moment is unsettling because it reminds us that Yuji's body is not fully his own. Even when Yuji is in control, Sukuna is present, watching, waiting, interfering when he can. The death painting arc closes with the trio having completed a major mission. Megumi has faced his fear and grown stronger. He has used an incomplete domain expansion. Yuji and Nobara have fought and won against dangerous, incarnated cursed objects. The 3 first years have proven they are no longer the same students they were at the start. At the beginning of Season 1, Yuji did not know curses existed. Nobara had just arrived in Tokyo. Megumi was carrying his burdens alone. Now they have survived special grade threats, intelligent curses, school politics, emotional trauma, and real killing. The season ends with their growth being recognized. Yuji, Megumi, Nobara, Maki, and Panda are recommended for promotion. This means the adults around them see that they have advanced as sorcerers. They are still young. They are still learning, but they have crossed major thresholds. The final feeling of Season 1 is not complete safety. It is momentum. The students are stronger. The enemy is still active. Mahito is alive. Jogo and Hanami remain part of the larger threat. The false Guido continues planning. The stolen cursed objects have already caused damage. Sukuna has eaten more fingers, and the Jujutsu world remains divided between people like Gojo, who want change, and the higher-ups, who would rather eliminate risks through control and execution. To understand why Season 1 works so strongly, we have to look at what each main character has become by the end. Yuji Itadori starts as a kind teenager with superhuman physical ability and no knowledge of curses. His life changes when he swallows Sukuna's finger to save others. From that moment, he becomes a living contradiction. He is a good person, carrying the king of curses. He wants to save people, but his existence frightens the Jujutsu world. He wants to give people proper deaths, but he keeps witnessing deaths that are cruel, twisted, and unfair. His grandfather told him to help others, but Jujutsu Kaisen forces Yuji to learn that helping others is not simple. Sometimes he is too late. Sometimes he is too weak. Sometimes saving one person means killing another. Sometimes the monster inside him refuses to help and laughs at his pain. By the end of Season 1, Yuji is no longer just brave. He is battle-tested. He can control cursed energy much better. He can land Black Flash. He can fight alongside skilled sorcerers. But emotionally, he has also been scarred. Junpei's death remains one of his deepest wounds. The transfigured humans remain part of his burden. Eso and Kechizu add another layer to his understanding of death. Yuji is still kind, but his kindness now exists inside a darker understanding of the world. Megumi Fushiguro also changes deeply. At the beginning, Megumi is serious and distant. He believes in saving people according to his own judgment. He does not think everyone deserves to be saved equally. His sense of justice is shaped by Tsumaki, the person he sees as truly good. Megumi's technique has enormous potential, but his mindset holds him back. He is willing to sacrifice himself too easily. The detention center shows this weakness. Against Sukuna, he nearly resorts to a dangerous final move. But by the final arc, Megumi begins to break that pattern. In the fight against the finger bearer, he does not simply choose death. He chooses victory. He imagines a stronger version of himself. He opens Chimera Shadow Garden. Even incomplete, it represents a major step. Megumi learns to be greedier in battle. He learns that his life has value beyond sacrifice. Nobara Kujisaki enters the story as someone who refuses to be underestimated. She wants to live in Tokyo. She wants to be fashionable. She wants to be strong. She wants to define herself. Her fights in Season 1 prove that her confidence is not empty. Against the curse in the early mission, she shows courage. Against Momo, she declares her identity without apology. Against Eso and Kechizu, she shows terrifying resolve. Nobara, using resonance through her own body, is one of the strongest examples of her mindset. She is willing to endure pain if it means winning on her own terms. She does not exist as a support character behind Yuji and Megumi. She is a sorcerer with her own pride, philosophy, and brutality. Gojo remains the overwhelming force above the story. Season 1 repeatedly shows that Gojo is not just strong. He is a structural problem for the enemy and for the Jujutsu higher-ups. The enemies cannot defeat him directly, so they plan around sealing or avoiding him. The higher-ups cannot easily control him because his strength gives him freedom. Gojo wants to raise strong students who can change the Jujutsu world. His humor hides a serious goal. He knows the system is broken. He knows students like Yuji are used and discarded. He wants to build a future where the old leaders cannot simply decide everything from above. Hanami provides another kind of adulthood, where Gojo is playful and untouchable. Hanami is grounded and weary. He shows Yuji that being a sorcerer is work. Painful work, necessary work. Hanami does not romanticize the job. He knows how ugly it can be, but he also recognizes Yuji's growth and treats him seriously when Yuji earns it. To do, though ridiculous at first glance, becomes an important teacher for Yuji. He shows that battle intelligence can come in strange forms. To-do's lesson about cursed energy helps Yuji overcome a major flaw. His partnership with Yuji during the Hanami fight pushes Yuji to Black Flash. To-do may act absurd, but he is a powerful sorcerer with sharp instincts. Maki and My Story expands the world beyond curses. It shows that Jujutsu society itself can be cruel. The Zenin clan values inherited techniques and cursed energy so much that it damages its own children. Maki's strength is a rebellion against that system. Mai's bitterness is the pain of someone who never wanted to fight, but was forced into suffering. Their conflict shows that not all wounds come from curses. Some come from family. Some come from tradition. Some come from the expectations of powerful clans. Panda and Mekamaru explore another question. What does it mean to be a person? Panda is a cursed corpse, but he has emotions, relationships, humor, and loyalty. Kakichi Muta has a human body, but he cannot live freely in it. He reaches the world through a puppet. Their fight asks us not to judge life only by appearance. The curses also develop across Season 1. Jogo represents pride and the belief that curses should replace humans. Hanami represents nature's anger toward humanity. Mahito represents the horror of cruelty mixed with curiosity. Mahito is the most personal enemy for Yuji in Season 1. Jogo and Hanami are dangerous, but Mahito attacks Yuji's heart. Mahito manipulates Junpei. Mahito transforms humans. Mahito laughs at suffering. Mahito is still learning and evolving, which makes him even more frightening. He is not already complete. He is growing. Sukuna remains the shadow inside the story. He is not the main active villain of every arc, but his presence changes everything. The entire Jujutsu world reacts to Yuji because of Sukuna. The enemy collects Sukuna's fingers. The higher-ups want Yuji executed because of Sukuna. Megumi attracts Sukuna's interest. Yuji's body becomes a battlefield between human intention and cursed hunger. Sukuna's binding vow is especially dangerous because Yuji does not remember it. The audience knows Sukuna has a hidden condition. Yuji does not. That creates tension for the future. Season 1 also carefully teaches the power system without stopping the story. Cursed energy comes from negative emotion. Sorcerers control it. Cursed techniques are specific abilities powered by cursed energy. Some techniques are inherited through families, like Megumi's 10 Shadows technique or Kamo's blood manipulation. Some are personal, like Nobara's straw doll technique. Some are extremely complex, like Gojo's limitless. Domain expansion represents a high level of mastery. When a domain is opened, it creates a space where the user's technique is enhanced. Gojo, unlimited void, overwhelms the target with endless information. Sukuna's malevolent shrine cuts down its target with terrifying precision. Mahito's self-embodiment of perfection lets him touch the soul directly within the domain. Megumi's chimera shadow garden is incomplete, but it shows his potential. Black flesh adds another layer. It is not a normal move that can be used whenever someone wants. It is a moment of perfect timing between physical impact and cursed energy. When Yuji lands it, he enters a higher understanding of cursed energy. This is why the Hanami fight matters so much. It is not just a flashy battle. It marks Yuji's growth from beginner to a sorcerer who can begin standing among stronger fighters. The structure of Season 1 is also important. It begins with a small personal choice. Yuji swallows a finger to save people at his school. Then the world expands. We learn about Jujutsu High. We learn about curses. We learn about Sukuna. Then the detention center shows the cost of being unprepared. Yuji dies. Then he revives and trains. Then Mahito shows that enemies can attack the soul, not just the body. Then the Goodwill Event expands the cast and reveals Jujutsu Society's politics. Then Hanami's attack proves the enemy has a plan. Then the death painting arc brings the trio together in a mission that tests how far they have come. By the end, the world feels much larger than it did at the beginning. Yet the emotional center remains Yuji's question. What is a proper death? His grandfather died in a hospital bed after giving Yuji a final wish. That death was sad, but it had meaning. It gave Yuji direction. But many deaths Yuji sees afterward are not like that. The detention center, victims die in fear. The transfigured humans are twisted beyond recognition. Junpei dies just when he might have been saved. Eso and Kechizu die as enemies, but also as brothers. Jujutsu Kaisen does not give Yuji an easy answer. Instead, it makes him keep walking with the question. That is what makes Season 1 more than a supernatural action story. It is about young people being forced to grow up inside a world that feeds on pain. It is about systems that use children as weapons. It is about inherited trauma, social cruelty, and the invisible monsters born from human emotion. But it is also about friendship. Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara become a real trio. Their bond is not overly sentimental. They tease each other. They argue. They get annoyed. But they trust each other. When they fight together, that trust matters. Yuji and Nobara's fight against Eso and Kechizu works because they understand each other's rhythm. Megumi's personal pain matters to both of them, even when he tries to hide it. The first years do not talk about their feelings in a soft way, but they show care through action. The second years also become important. Maki trains the first years and shows them what physical skill can achieve. Panda provides strength and emotional intelligence. Toj protects others with a technique that harms his own throat. The larger student group begins to feel like a generation that Gojo believes in. The final recommendation for promotion is not just a reward. It is a sign that these students are rising. They are becoming stronger in a world that will only become more dangerous. Season 1 ends with several unresolved threats. Mahito is still alive and more experienced than before. Jogo and Hanami remain part of the Curse Alliance. The false Guido continues to guide them. Sukuna's fingers are being gathered. Yuji has consumed more fingers, increasing Sukuna's presence. The Jujutsu higher-ups still do not truly accept Yuji. The mystery of Sukuna's interest in Megumi remains. Tsumiki's curse remains a major personal issue for Megumi, and the death-painting wombs introduce Choso, whose connection to Eso and Kechizu will matter beyond this season. But season 1 also ends with hope. Yuji is not alone. He did not die alone at the detention center because Megumi was there. He did not face Mahito alone because Nanami came. He did not fight Hanami alone because Tadu stood beside him. He did not face the final arc alone because Nobara and Megumi were with him. His grandfather told him to be surrounded by people when he dies. Season 1 shows that Yuji is slowly building those bonds. He is surrounded by people who may argue with him, scold him, and call him an idiot, but who also fight beside him. That is the emotional answer to the darkness of the series. Curses are born from human negativity, but sorcerers survive through connection, discipline, and purpose. Now let us walk through the final events one more time in a smooth story flow. So the full ending is completely clear. After Yuji returns from death and reunites with his classmates, the Kyoto Goodwill Event begins. The Kyoto students arrive with their own personalities and grudges. Tadu is loud and intimidating. Mai carries bitterness toward Maki. Kamo carries family responsibility. Momo defends the difficult position of women in Jujutsu society. Miwa is sincere and somewhat overwhelmed. Mekamaru fights from a distance because his real body cannot live normally. The Tokyo students enter with their own strengths. Yuji has secret training and a new determination after Junpei. Megumi continues to grow quietly. Nobara brings confidence and sharp technique. Maki brings physical skill and anger toward the Zenin clan. Panda brings power and insight. Toad brings dangerous cursed speech. The event begins as a competition, but the Kyoto side has orders to kill Yuji. Tadu ignores that plan because he becomes attached to Yuji after hearing his answer about his taste in women. Instead of killing him, To-Do fights him like a teacher, a rival, and an imaginary best friend all at once. Through that fight, Yuji learns that his cursed energy delay is a weakness. He begins correcting the gap between his body and cursed energy. Across the forest, the other students battle. Megumi and Kamo test inherited techniques against each other. Nobara fights Momo and declares that she will live as herself. Maki defeats Momo and then faces Mai. The sisters reveal years of pain created by the Zenin clan and by Maki's decision to leave. Panda fights Mekamaru and reveals his different cores, while Mekamaru's lonely existence is exposed. Then Hanami attacks. The event becomes a real battle. Toad uses cursed speech until his throat suffers. Megumi, Maki, and Kamo fight with everything they have. Hanami endures their attacks and pushes them back. Yuji and To-Do arrive. To-Do pushes Yuji to grow. Yuji lands Black Flash. To-Do reveals Boogie Woogie. Together, they fight Hanami with incredible coordination. Gojo finally breaks through the barrier. He defeats the curse user Jujutsu and unleashes Hollow Purple against Hanami. Hanami escapes badly damaged, but the enemy succeeds in the real mission. Mahito steals Sukuna fingers and cursed womb objects from Jujutsu High. After the invasion, the students play baseball, giving a brief moment of comedy and calm. But the stolen objects soon matter. Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara investigate deaths connected to Yasuhachi Bridge. The case becomes personal because Megumi's sister Tsumiki was involved in the same bridge curse. Megumi hides his concern, but cannot escape the emotional weight. The trio enters the curse's barrier. Megumi faces a finger bearer and finally breaks past his self-sacrificing mindset. He opens Chimera Shadow Garden and defeats the curse. Yuji and Nobara face Eso and Kechizu, two incarnated death painting wombs. The brothers use a deadly rot technique through their blood. Nobara turns the connection against them with resonance. Yuji uses his improved cursed energy control and physical strength. Together, Yuji and Nobara defeat the brothers. The victory is heavy because Eso and Kechizu genuinely care for each other. Yuji and Nobara understand that they killed enemies who were still capable of love. Megumi recovers Sukuna's finger, but Sukuna eats it through Yuji's body. The mission ends. The students are recommended for promotion. Season 1 closes with the heroes stronger, the villains still plotting, and Sukuna's shadow growing darker. That is the complete story of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1. It is the beginning of Yuji Itadori's journey as a Jujutsu sorcerer. It is the story of a boy who chose to swallow a curse to save others. It is the story of a school where students learn not from textbooks alone, but from fear, grief, combat, and survival. It is the story of Megumi learning that winning does not have to mean throwing his life away. It is the story of Nobara proving that she can be exactly who she wants to be and still be terrifyingly strong. It is the story of Gojo trying to raise a generation powerful enough to change a broken world. It is the story of Mahito showing Yuji the cruelty of curses that can think and laugh. It is the story of Sukuna waiting inside Yuji, amused by human pain and interested in his own future plans. Season 1 begins with a finger wrapped in old talisman paper. It ends with more fingers being consumed, more curses moving in the dark, and more students stepping into danger. Yuji wanted to help people. He still does, but now he understands the cost. He understands that a proper death is not something easily given. He understands that strength matters. He understands that the world of curses will not pause for his grief. So he keeps moving. Megumi keeps moving. Nobara keeps moving. And somewhere inside Yuji, Sukuna waits for the moment when the hidden vow will matter. The first season ends not with the story finished, but with the door opened. The students have survived their beginning. The real nightmare is still ahead.